In this demo, we will build an onboarding email journey for a new members. This use case is quite common and can be applied for various applications, like e-commerce, blogs, media, or even online courses. So the idea is for every people that join our application, we need to greet them. Then we will evaluate if they actually open the email, we'll send another email to inform them what is the next steps. But if they don't, we'll send them a gentle reminder. That's it. Pretty simple, yet it adds some gentle touch to remind people. And we can do that easily with Journey with no coding at all. We will start from creating a basic project, then continue with building segments and message templates before we jump into creating our journey. And this is a good exercise to get you familiar with Amazon Pinpoint if you haven't already. So on the Pinpoint dashboard, the first thing that we need to do is create a project. This demo will utilize email as channel, so we need to configure our email and verify it first. Once that you have configured your email as the main communication sender, it's really a good idea to test it out, just to make sure everything is okay. You can test your email on test messaging page as shown on the screen. Next thing that we need to do is building segment. Segment is one of the key requirements whenever we build a marketing communication plan. And Amazon Pinpoint makes it easy for us to build a segment. So when you click on Create Segment, you'll be presented with two options: Build a segment and Import a segment. Build a segment is dynamic approach, and dynamic segments are based on the data that your application provides to Amazon Pinpoint after you integrate your application with Amazon Pinpoint. In the other hand, Import a segment is useful if you define user segments outside of Amazon Pinpoint, but you want to engage your users with Amazon Pinpoint campaigns. So in this case, we'll pick Import a segment, as I'm going to import a CSV file that I've prepared beforehand. Once Amazon Pinpoint finishes processing, we will see that the type is now imported and showing total numbers of entries. In this case, we only have one entry. And if you're wondering how the file looks like, it's simply a standard CSV file with supported attributes that Pinpoint can process, like what we have in this example. Next thing that you'll need to do is to define your message templates. A message template is a set of content and setting that you can create, save, and then reuse in messages that you send for any of your Amazon Pinpoint projects. Simply put, if you frequently design and send a certain type of message, such as a weekly newsletter, you can structure it as a message template and reuse the message templates for future campaigns. In this case, I have few message templates that I'm going to use as content when we're creating Pinpoint journeys. Okay, so we are all set, and let's create a journey for our campaign. This is the journey dashboard. It also has a nice step-by-step that will guide you around the dashboard. First, let's change the title of this journey to make it easier to identify. What we need to do next is to set the entry condition. We need to choose the segment and specify how often that this journey needs to update the membership. Now please be noted that this doesn't mean that this journey will start once every X hour. But this is to re-update the membership of the journey by looking through the segment periodically. So if there's a new entry, it will then include it into the next journey. Next thing that we need to do is to add an activity. As we mentioned, activity can be anything from sending email, push notification, to using AWS Lambda or a specific API endpoint to send the message. In this case, we're going to send email. When you choose a specific activity, you'll be prompted with which template that you want to send. We're going to choose the welcome template as we like to greet our newly joined members. Next, as we want to evaluate who opened the email and who didn't, then we need to add the condition check. There are a few splits types that you can choose, but for this demo, we're going to use a yes or no split. We're going to choose event as the condition type, and choose our previous activity as the journey message activity, which is welcome email. And within the activity, we also can choose which event we want this particular activity to be triggered. In this case, as we want to have the condition is evaluated when people open the email, then we choose open. After that, we can also configure the amount of time that Amazon Pinpoint needs to wait before doing the activity. Like for example, after our audience open the email, then we can wait for 1 hour or 1 day before moving to the next activity. Now we have the condition checking. What we need to do now is to set two activities if our segment opened the email and did not open the email. Now we have two states, yes and no state. For yes state, we will send an activity, send an email by choosing the next step as the welcome template. But for the no state, we're going to do it a bit different. We're going to add wait activity to tell Pinpoint to wait for a certain amount of time before actually sending the next email, which is the reminder email. You can configure this in hours or days. So let's set it for 1 hour. Then, after waiting for 1 hour, Pinpoint will continue the activity to send a reminder email. So let's repeat the same steps that we did previously for yes state, but in this context, we're going to use reminder template. And that's it. We've finished setting up our journey. Pretty smooth, isn't it? Now moving to the next thing, we're going to review some best practices for running the journey. Pinpoint has a built-in mechanism to prevent us on running a premature journey. If we remove the message template, which is required on running activity, it will give us an error message, and we're unable to proceed to the next step. So let me show you how Pinpoint able to ensure our campaign runs properly. In this case, I purposely removed the message template. You can see that Pinpoint detects an error and the next button is grayed out. So let's set it back to the previous configuration and add the message template. Next is timing. By default, a journey will last for 18 months since it published. And you can also configure this timing by going to the settings and set the start date and end date, as well as setting the time zone. One of the cool features that Pinpoint has is setting the quiet time so we avoid on disturbing our customers during this timing. And we can also set the maximum numbers of communications sent by our journey by configuring on this advanced section. Once that we've done configuring, let's test this journey. Testing our journey will help us to evaluate our journey. And one tip when you're testing the journey is that you can choose another segment that's already prepared to do testing so you will not disturb your real customers. We can also skip all waits and delays to minimize waiting time. When we start the test, Journey will give us a 5 minutes buffer time. And when it started, it will perform all activities that we have configured, and at the end, we'll get the metrics. We'll fast forward so we could see the end results. Now our Pinpoint journey is completed, and we can see the results after Pinpoint finished collecting the data. The dashboard is pretty intuitive, as we can see the count of customers who have completed an activity. In this test scenario, the journey will send a welcome email, and will go to the no state as the case here is the customer didn't open the email, and shortly after that it sent a reminder email. By looking from the information, we see that there's only one customer who received this email. So let's switch to the mailbox to see the email results. So in our mailbox, you can see that we received 2 emails, a welcome email and also a reminder email. We can say that the journey completed successfully. Going back to the dashboard, on the left side of the journey, you can get more insights by choosing execution metrics or engagement metrics. You can analyze and evaluate your campaigns based on this information as an input for your next iteration. Once that you're confident with this journey, you can publish this journey by clicking the review button and review every suggestion. And the review page will guide you to double-check your configurations to ensure the success of your campaign. And once that you're done, you can click on Publish and journey will start.